If you are a military veteran and you're looking at Austin, Texas as being a potential new home, stop and watch this video because this video can save you tens of thousands of dollars in your home buying journey. And also, I want to share with you some military benefits that you might have not known that we offer down here in Texas. So just for reference, my name is Dawson Brewer. Not only am I a realtor in the Austin Metro, I am also a veteran myself. I served just under 8 years, all active duty in the Air Force, which is the best branch. And I have spent a lot of time relocating to different countries, different states. And I ultimately relocated my family here. So I know what it's like to move around. And whether or not that you're a veteran, if you are a veteran, you're gonna learn a lot about the military benefits that we have to offer here, not only in Austin, but in Texas in general. And if you're not a military veteran, well, hey, you might still learn something new about real estate in the Austin Metro. So stay tuned to get all that information. Now, just real quick, if you are looking at relocating to Austin and you do need some help in your home buying journey, make sure you reach out to me and the team. I'll leave the link down below and also the top pinned comment. So without further ado, let me go ahead and tell you guys a quick story about how I ended up in Austin, as some of you may relate. So I started out my career in the Air Force in Japan. I loved every second of it. I spent 3 years there, met a lot of great people, and then I was shipped out to Dover, Delaware. And I also met my beautiful wife down in Delaware. She was going to school there at the time. And at some point, we decided that the Air Force was no longer for me, and we decided on an exit strategy. Now, that exit strategy did include relocating to a new state, and that new state had to have military benefits, or at least the military benefits would have been a very high consideration in terms of where we were going to choose to move. So we landed on 2 different states, Colorado and Texas. I wanted to pursue real estate and make sure that my wife also had a lot of career opportunities, but we also wanted to be in a place where we can grow as a family and place our roots there. Because if you are military, you do know that moving around a lot is just part of the game. So we decided that Texas was the better move, mainly because of the weather. Did not want to experience snow again. And we decided to move down to Austin in partial because of the real estate market that was going on at the time, the military benefits, the weather, and also we were somewhat familiar with the Texas area as well. So before I even got here, I was already applying for the VA loan. Now, at the time, I was not licensed and I was going through my first home purchase, so I had no idea what I was doing. So I did what most veterans do, and I just went to your eBenefits website and just started applying, clicking the links that they provided, and just followed the process through there. Through that process, I connected with the lender through Veterans United. And now that I know what I know now, that is not the best lender to choose, which I will talk about later on in the video. But anyways, it connected me with Veterans United to give me a pre-qualification letter, and that way I know exactly how much I could qualify for in a house. After that, they also connected me with a realtor, which my first realtor was a disaster, so to speak. I did not hear any type of communication from that person to the point where I had to, I guess, fire her within the first 24 hours of us connecting. Really wasn't a firing, as there was literally no communication at all. So I ended up having to reach out again and get that realtor switched out for the one that ultimately helped me buy my first house. Now, coming to Texas, my wife and I really did not know too much about Austin, so we were having our realtor just run around, show us different houses virtually at the time, and ultimately we were outbidded on about 12 different houses before we landed on our first property in San Marcos, and that was just because of what the market was doing at the time. It was insane. But we finally landed on our first house in San Marcos, and here is one of the best parts. I only came out of pocket $150 to buy a house at the time that cost $254,000. So using a VA loan, 0% down, I would even say I made money on the deal. Again, I wasn't a realtor, I wasn't licensed at the time. My realtor at the time, she cut me a check for $200 as a gift card. So I technically made $50 on my first real estate purchase as a veteran, which is insane. And after that, I went ahead and used my VA loan to buy my second house, which I did come out of pocket quite a bit of money, but that was mainly because I had to buy down the rate. And also it was almost within that first 12 months between buying that house in San Marcos and buying the second house. So now the house in San Marcos is a rental again, which I made $50 on that initial purchase to buy. And then now the house that I'm recording this in is my second house using the VA loan. So I have 2 properties right now using the VA loan that I put $0 down. It's an amazing product. So let's talk about the VA loan real quick. As most of you already know, that is one of the major benefits that we have, not just as veterans, but also active military members. You could use your VA loan as many times as you want in your lifetime, as long as you have enough entitlement. And entitlement really depends on what county you live in. So I think the entitlement on where I'm at is around that $900,000 number. So I could break that up in 3 different $300,000 properties. I can go ahead and buy just one $900,000 property. And as I pay that entitlement down, entitlement starts to replenish. I could go ahead and use that entitlement again and as many times as I want to over the course of my life. Now, there is a misconception with the VA loan that veterans think that you could only use it one time and that is all. That's not true. I am the walking embodiment of that. Matter of fact, I know veterans who bought up to 4 or 5 different properties using the VA loan. Now, it took some time to get to that point, but again, they are maximizing their VA benefits. Now, who qualifies for the VA loan? I want to say this before I get into that I am not a lender, so make sure you reach out to your lender to ask these specific questions, or you can reach out to me and I can connect you with a lender that specializes in VA loans. But essentially, there are a few different ways that you can qualify for the VA loan. If you are an active duty member, you qualify as long as you serve 90 days straight in wartime, 2, serve 181 days in peacetime, or 3, spend 6 years in the National Guard or Reserves. Now, if you are a Guard or Reserve, to qualify, you have to spend 6 years as a Guard or Reserve, or 90 days of Title 32, which would be 30 days consecutive as active duty. By the way, I was never Guard or Reserve. I don't know what Title 32 means. Maybe some of you do, but those are the qualification requirements for Guard or Reserve. And if you are a surviving spouse, you also may qualify for the VA loan as long as you meet those requirements as well. Now, with the VA loan, there is something called a funding fee. A funding fee is typically between 1 to 3% of the purchase price. So you just take the purchase price, you times it by 1 to 3%. Let's just cut it in half, 2%. That's gonna be the fee that you pay in order to fund the loan. It can be rolled into your closing costs, it can be rolled into the loan, but that is a fee that you're going to have to pay. Caveat, if you are disabled, minimum 10% disabled, that funding fee is completely waived. Now, even though the VA loan is 0% down, that does not mean that you don't have closing costs attached to that, because like I said, if you're paying the funding fee, that's gonna be part of your closing costs, and you also have to pay for things like the appraisals, the inspections, and things of that nature. Now, on the funding fee, again, you could get a refund off of that if you are in the process of getting a disability rating. So if you just left the military and you're wanting to buy a house, but you're not disabled yet, but you started the process, so they hit you with that funding fee, you can get refunded as long as you can prove that you have been disabled in the process of buying a house. But again, I'm not a lender, so make sure you check with your lender for accuracy. So let's talk about some VA loan misunderstandings. So first, I want to preface this with saying that not every single realtor is built the same. We are not a one size fits all. So some realtors may not be too familiar with the VA loan product. They understand it's $0 down, but they might not understand exactly all the nuances that comes with the VA loan. So it's very important to connect with an agent like myself who's familiar with the VA loan process based off of my personal experience and my experience with helping VA buyers to purchase their house. And same thing with lenders. Every single lender that does not specialize in VA loans. There's some lenders who don't do it at all. There's some that leans heavily into VA loans. You want to make sure that the people in your corner are very familiar with the product that you are using, because that's how you get the most bang for your buck. And that's what separates a great deal from a really bad deal. So a VA loan misconception is that it's looked at as a weaker product. And that's because VA loans have so many different contingencies, restrictions. So for example, if you are buying a $300,000 house and the house appraises at $250,000, well, you're not going to get approved for that $300,000. You're only going to get approved for that $250,000. So now you got a couple options. You could ask the seller to bring that price down to $250, or you got to come out of pocket that $50,000 to bring that price up to $300,000. And if you're using a VA loan with $0 down, most people are not going to come out of pocket 50 grand. So in those types of situations, the seller loses out on the deal. And when I say that the misconceptions about the VA loans and working with an agent that's not too familiar with them is a difference between a bad deal and a great deal, that's where that misconception comes into play. And you got to think the agent on the other side might be telling the seller, like, look, this is a VA loan. Your house might not appraise, it might not pass inspections. You might not want to go with that offer. So that's why it's important to work with somebody that is very familiar with the product. VA loan is not a weaker loan. It is a strong loan, and it's something that you as a veteran, you earn that. You earn that through blood, sweat, and tears, and I know that personally. Now, understand that not every single home qualifies for the VA loan. And what I mean by that is that if a house has foundation issues, roof problems, plumbing, electrical problems, HVAC, big ticket items just like that, the functionality and safety of a house, that house is most likely not gonna qualify for a VA loan. So you can't just go ahead and buy a shed in the middle of nowhere. The roof is leaking and the foundation is halfway gone. You can't use your VA loan for that. It does have to be a sound product. It has to be a quality product. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it definitely can't be like a fixer-upper type of house that needs a heavy rehab, right? You could definitely buy a fixer-upper, a cosmetic fixer-upper, just not a heavy fixer-upper. So not all lenders uses the VA loan. And I'm just gonna touch on this real quick. I don't know why a lot of buyers are so strong-minded about going to their bank to use their bank to buy a house and get a home loan. I don't know what's up with that mindset, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, you want the best deal for yourself and your family, and whoever's gonna offer you the best deal, you should definitely go with them. But I do have to say that not every single lender works with VA loans. So again, make sure that the people that you're working with are familiar with the product. And finally, Veterans United. So just like most veterans, I started my process going through the eBenefits website because like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. And I went through Veterans United. When I actually started selling homes and helping buyers and sellers both purchase and sell their properties, I came to realize that Veterans United is not the best loan product for veterans. Matter of fact, they have a little bit of a higher interest rate than other loan products, but they are sold as a veteran product, right? And just because something is sold as a veteran product, so think like USAA, Navy Federal, things like that, does not mean that that is the best product to use as a veteran. At the end of the day, you want to shop for the best lender that's gonna offer you the best terms, not just because they're veteran affiliated, but because you're gonna get the best bang for your buck. So don't just blindly go ahead and just go with these products without doing your due diligence. So that's a quick snippet of what the VA loan is all about. Now, let's talk about the other benefits that Texas in general has to offer to veterans and what ultimately attracted me to relocate my family here in the Austin Metro. Before we talk about that, if you are looking at relocating to Austin, make sure you reach out to me and the team. I have people reaching out to me every single day looking to purchase in Austin. And what I would like to do is have a one-on-one conversation, get to understand your roadmap, and that way I can put you on the best roadmap to place keys in your hand. So click that link in my description, scan the QR code on the screen, click the link in my top pinned comment. Let's have a conversation. And if you don't want to do that, let's just go ahead, send me a text, give me a call, do whatever you want to do to reach out to me and the team. Now, here are some crazy benefits that we have as veterans. First of all, if you have no disability and you're out of the military, and I know a lot of veterans also have the mindset that, well, I don't qualify for disability, I never got deployed. Look, you at the very least should have a shot of getting some sort of disability. So if you are needing some help with your compensation, make sure you reach out to me personally, and I could get you in contact with one of my vendors who helps veterans on a daily basis get all the benefits that they deserve. So reach out to me if you feel like you're not getting all the benefits, or if you even need help getting all the benefits that you deserve as a veteran. So some benefits include free parking in some places, especially if you're going down to San Antonio, that Moody Center, that's like a $70 parking right there that we get for free with our DV plates. Talking about DV plates, we also get one free car registration per disabled military veteran per household. So if my wife was a disabled veteran, she could register her car for free, and me as a disabled veteran, I could register my car for free. But since I'm the only veteran in my household, I could only register one car for free. But that is a huge savings. Think about saving about $150 or so every single year based off the weight and type of your car. But that's a small benefit benefit that you don't really think of that adds up over time. And yes, it costs about $150 to register a car. I heard it costs like $300 to $400 in California. That's insane. Me as a disabled veteran, I don't pay tolls on certain tollways. So one of the most beneficial, or one of the ways I benefit from this the most, is tollway 290. 290 connects basically everything east of Austin. So you're thinking Manor, Elgin, Bastrop, so on and so forth, and you get all the way down to Houston. But the tollways does not go all the way down to Houston. It pretty much stops as soon as you get into Manor. But basically every time I gotta go to Austin, I gotta take 290. So imagine if you have to go to work every single day, right? We have Tesla down the street, and actually one of my neighbors works at Tesla, and he was telling me that they moved out here in Manor to get closer to Tesla, and Tesla is supposed to be a 25-minute drive if you take the tollway, but it takes 40 to 50 minutes for him because he doesn't take the tollway. So think about you as a veteran not having to pay that toll pass to get to and from Austin. That saves you a lot of money over time, and it's something small. Now with the toll pass, as far as I'm concerned, it's only $290, at least in the Austin area. There is other tollways throughout Texas that are also waived, but you must also have disabled veteran plates to go along with it. So ultimately you could only put it on one car. Now, one of my favorite Texas benefits is this. We are one of 8 states that offers this specific benefit, which is 100% property tax exemption. To give y'all an idea of how much money this is per month, my property taxes in this house would have been about $1,000 a month. So I saved $12,000 a year alone based off of this benefit. And to even give you more context, there are people in my city who have lived here for a while, and the property taxes just continue to increase over time to the point where it prices them out of their own house. So imagine you as a veteran not paying any property taxes on your house. What can you do with that benefit? You could buy a bigger house. You can buy a more expensive house. You could save so much money a month. What if you're already budgeting for that extra property taxes that you were gonna pay? For example, what if I was budgeting for that $1,000 that I'm saving every single month? What could I use that for? I could put it towards my mortgage, pay my mortgage down a lot faster. I could use it for investments. I could use it for bullshit if I wanted to. That is an amazing benefit to have. So with that being said, you do have to be 100% disabled to get that benefit. But if you are between 10 to 90% disabled, you still do have a property tax exemption. You do not get the full exemption. Instead, I believe you get the write-off, or you get to reduce your assessed value by about $12,000. So yes, you aren't getting that full property tax exemption, but you are still getting some sort of benefit. And it just goes to show that even if you think that you are not entitled to disability compensation, you should at least still fight for it. Here's another benefit. While you're shopping for new construction, you might notice some builders offering a 3.99% interest rate, for example. Now, that 3.99% interest rate is only for government buyers. Conventional, they're probably at a 4.5% interest rate. So you as a veteran, you don't even have to be disabled, just you being a veteran, you typically have better incentives for new construction properties versus conventional buyers. And I've seen it a lot, and that difference is usually about half a percentage, which could save you a lot of money in the long run. Also, some builders offer an additional incentive. I've seen things like anywhere from $2,500 to about $5,000 additional incentives to be applied to a house, whether you want to apply it to closing costs, whether you want to apply that to a bigger rate buy down, whether you want to reduce the cost of a house. Builders offer extra incentives for veterans, not just veterans, but teachers, firefighters, police officers, people in those types of industries. So if you are a veteran, you are getting additional benefits when it comes to new construction. Now, the next benefit is, I hope it goes without saying, but you get discounts at a lot of stores here in the Austin Metro. Every time I go somewhere, I'm always asking, hey, do you guys do a military discount? You'd be surprised by how many stores actually does this. Not only just stores, but think about memberships, gym memberships. Are you a member of, I don't know, Costco or something? I don't know. I know for sure that some gyms do offer military benefits. Matter of fact, specifically for my veterans that are looking to buy a house, they offer 10% military benefits for home improvement stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. If you have never bought a house before, I promise you Home Depot and Lowe's, whichever one is closest to you, that's gonna be a highly visited store. You're gonna be there more times than you actually realize. So those savings will add up to big money over time, I promise you. Then finally, or last but not least, I gotta talk about the Hazelwood Act. So the Hazelwood Act is a educational benefit afforded to veterans, and you don't have to be a disabled veteran to get this benefit, but basically you have an additional 150 credit hours that you yourself can use instead of your GI Bill or your 9/11 bill, or you could pass this on to your kids for them to use. It is a powerful benefit. A lot of people think that you have to be born in Texas to get this benefit. That's not the case. You don't even have to be in Texas before you join the military, which is another misunderstanding. All you would have to do is prove that you are a Texas resident for at least 12 months before taking those classes and show that you have a physical address here. Simple as that. So if you watched to this point in the video, thank you. This is my take on what life is like as a veteran in Austin, Texas. We have a bunch of benefits to take advantage of, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more benefits I just can't think of right now. But again, if you are a veteran and you do need help with your benefits, even if you're not looking to move to Texas, maybe I could at least point you in the right direction. So reach out to me still. Also, I will leave some extra military links down below in the description for y'all to check out. And as always, thank you for watching. If you're looking to relocate, make sure you reach out to me and the team. Call me, text me, email me, click that link to schedule a one-on-one call. Thank you again for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. This is In Austin with Dawson, and I'm out. Peace.